Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another My Hero Ultra Impact tier list. Today, we are going to be doing a tier list for PVE. So the way this tier list works is it is a general investment tier list for who you want to invest in. So in S tier, we have characters who are good in 3 forms of PVE content, whether that be VE Tower, Climax Battle, or Club Festival. So all of these characters are generally good in those 3 forms of content, meaning these are the characters you want to invest in the most highly. Next, we have characters who are good in 2 things. For A tier, for B tier, we have niche uses, characters who are good in mainly 1 thing. They might be okay-ish in another thing. And then we have C tier, who are rarely used and might have some uses somewhere along the way for certain things. Like, it's hard to say. Like, for example, Red Hawks might be okay for Climax Battle against a particular Climax Battle enemy, but there are characters up above in the higher tiers who are going to be better than Red Hawks in that particular Climax Battle. So for rarely used tier, you might end up using these characters if you lack some of the characters above. In the D tier, we have almost never used characters. Like, you're probably not going to see them that much. You might see like Fantasy Deku in some sort of Climax Battle just because he can do like big damage given the right scenario, or for his survivability or something. You might see him used in a Climax Battle, but like literally almost ever. And then F tier, these characters, do not touch them. They're just not going to be helpful to you. You don't need to invest in them. And generally for this, most of these characters down here in F tier are also not really that great for PvP purposes. So just in general, I would not touch those characters. Now, we are not going to be moving around any characters in this tier list who are already placed because the meta, the PvE content hasn't really changed that much. Now, with the introduction of a new VE Tower that will be coming up next month, some of these things might change, some of these characters might change. We'll have to see. If we ever get new content in the game, obviously this tier list will have to change. Like if we get boss battles or like a super battle road type thing that Dokkan has or something, then we got to account for that in this tier list. But for right now, we don't need to move anything around. So that leaves us with placing the new characters. We are just going to go in order of the characters here that they released. So Shigaraki released before any of these others, and Blue Shigaraki is ranked very, very lowly to say the least for PvP. Like, I was very disappointed with him. However, if you summoned for him and you got him, there is a little bit of saving grace because his damage is not the greatest. It's a little bit too low for Club Festival, but he does have decent technical hits, which can be useful in like VE Tower. And then he also has his defense lowering, which can be useful in Climax Battle and in Club Festival, right? So the fact that he has technicals and defense lowering is huge. AoE defense lowering is also really good. So like defense lowering just in general makes the Shigaraki halfway decent. I think you'll see him used sometimes in certain circumstances. I would say more in VE Tower. You might see him used in Club Festival or Climax Battle once in a while, but for that reason, I will put him in B tier. I see him as like a niche character. Like, you might use him in certain given circumstances. He'll be good in mainly 1 thing. That 1 thing I'm thinking probably VE Tower, but he might be okay-ish in Climax Battle or Club Festival. Next up, we have the new Music Kaminari. Music Kaminari has good damage. He has status ailments, he has crits or crit rate for the team rather, and he has plus ultra gauge raise for the team. Like, he's just literally everything in one. He is a beautiful character who does good damage. He's just amazing character, placed at the top of the PvP tier list, and he's also going to be at the top of the PVE tier list. So a very good character. Hopefully you guys got him. He is a limited character, so you can't summon him right now. He will be back sometime next year, but if you don't have him right now, then you will have to wait. He is a very, very good character though. Next up, we have Blue Dabi, the ABL or Flames of Rancor Dabi. He has crit rate 60% at the start of battle, but the thing is, it gets lowered over time. He can also make your attacks miss because he gives Sharp Eye not only to your allies, but he also gives it to the opponents, giving them a 30% chance to evade, which is annoying. And then he might be okay in VE Tower, but not great because of that Sharp Eye thing, right? Like, the crit rate is good, but then that's not great, all things considered, if you are missing your attacks in VE Tower. And then he would be bad in Club Festival due to the lack of damage that he has. Like, he's more of a tank. He's not really a damage character like the other Dabis, which is interesting. And he also has recovery block. So, yeah, that's rough as well. he's mainly the place I see him being good, and the reason he's going to go where he goes on the tier list, which is next to Shigaraki in B tier. The reason that I think Dabi is saved right here and he gets to go to B tier is because I see him being very good in climax battle. Like all for one climax battle, he would be a goat in, a very, very good character because of the fact that he can't die as long as he's burning, and he is a blue type enemy against the red type all for one, right? He would just be a really good tank for that team, an insanely good tank. So for that reason, I'll put him in B tier. I don't see him really being used a whole lot outside of climax battle though. So I mean, that's kind of the downside to that Dabi. But in PvP, I do still think he's actually like one of the better tanks to come out in a while. Next up, we have Summer Mirko. Summer Mirko, you will probably almost, in my opinion, never see her used, because if you read through her kit, it doesn't have a whole lot geared towards PvE content, like technical status elements, things like that, crits that I guess she has some crit, but things that you're looking for to gain a high score in like VE Tower. She doesn't have multi-target attack that you would want in Club Festival. She just kind of lacks some of the PvE concept stuff for her kit, and so I think her kit is definitely geared more towards PvP, and she placed fairly well on the PvP tier list. But if anywhere, I would say in PvE she could be used in climax battle because she has pretty good damage, and in climax battle, still a lot of climax battle, what it comes down to is how good your damage is. So for that reason, I am going to put Mirko into rarely used. I don't feel like she'll be used all the time in climax battle. I do feel like there's better choices than Mirko who are red characters that you can use in climax battle, kind of like I was saying with Red Hawks at the beginning of the video. She's a character you could choose, but I feel like if, you know, given the options of the characters in the tiers above, you're probably not going to use her that much in PvE content. The next character we need to place is the brand new short-haired Nerijir from Season 7. She is an amazing character. She placed very high in the recent PvP tier list, and for PvE she is going to place equally as high. So she will be good in Club Festival thanks to her AoE damage, her piercing damage. She'll be good in Climax for the same reason, right? And then the thing is though, in VE Tower, she might be kind of meh. She has good technicals, which is good, but like, you know, other than that, she's lacking, like, I think she's lacking, if I remember right, this is all just based on memory here, she's lacking crit, she's lacking status elements, obviously. I think she might have plus ultra gauge race for herself, I don't remember, I'd have to check, but I think she lacks that as well, so I don't see her being super useful in VE Tower. And then the other problem with Nerijir, the main problem for VE Tower, is she does have that pierce against whenever there's a mind type enemy on the team. If you guys have ever used Fantasy Sue in VE Tower, then you know that sometimes doing too much damage is a bad thing, and I feel like this Nerijir would honestly just do too much damage in VE Tower, and that causes a bit of a problem. I know it's been a while since we've had a VE Tower, so for newer players, you're like, what the heck is VE Tower? But if you've been around for a while, then you know what I mean. Too much damage is a problem. So for that reason, we're going to put Nerijir in A tier, where she's good in two things. She's good in Climax Battle, and she's good in Club Festival. Yet to be seen if she's really good in VE Tower. That might change. Her placement might change in the future. We'll have to see, like maybe the new VE Tower that comes out, she's cracked for. I don't know. We'll have to see. Then last but not least, we have the new Your Next movie Deku. So he has amazing support for your team, like just really good. So he gives good crit support, he gives cooldowns to your team on his plus ultra, as well as evasion. He increases the critical skill impact of your team and the critical resistance of your allies. And then since he is a support, he, like a lot of the other supports up here, like Yairozu, like this Araraka, like Todoroki, will be very, very good in most PvE content because he can be slotted into most teams. He has good cooldowns on his skills, plus he's giving any character that gives cooldown to your allies in general has for the most part made it up to S tier. He gives cooldown, Compress gives cooldown, the Celebration Bakugo gives cooldown, Yairozu gives cooldown, Monoma gives cooldown, and guess what? They're all up here in S tier. So any character that gives, you know, action skill cooldown to the team generally has a good kit to go with that, and they have made it to S tier. So it should be no surprise to you guys that this Deku is now in S tier. So we actually have two characters going into S tier, which is crazy. We have one here in A tier, and we have two in B tier, I don't think, and then one in C tier. We didn't actually put any into D or F tier this time, so that should just go to show that they have actually been releasing some pretty fire units lately, and I'm actually really, really happy with what they've been releasing. And once again, Mirko being down here in C tier, like, she's not bad. Don't feel bad if you pull for her. just PVE content isn't where she's meant to be used at, right? She is meant for PvP. So hopefully this helps you guys out, helps you figure out who to invest in. If you have any questions, let us know down in the comments. I'm sure other people will be happy to help. I will try to answer if I see the questions as well. If you disagree with any of the placements, let us know in the comments as well, and we will try to adjust accordingly in the future. If you guys enjoyed the video, please consider going down there, hitting that like button, hitting that subscribe button, and thank you guys so much for watching. Peace.